I finally can't do it. I woke up and I found out that the One Piece is going on a 4-month break. I don't think I can sleep that long. I don't know what I'm going to do, because I can't do anything about One Piece while it's on break. It's just, I can't get it, and I can't watch any more of that stupid guy and his reviews. He can't even pronounce the fracking words right. I can't understand him. He's so fracking stupid. But, I've come up with an idea what I'm going to do so I can make it through the 4 weeks without One Piece. That's a genius idea. I wasn't sure how I was going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And after I've read the chapter and everything, I've let it soak in. We're having a time skip. I know, a time skip. It's, Oda, please don't frack it up. You, I don't know if you will have flashbacks of the past. Why didn't you just show it? More chapters of training, please. And then you're going to show flashbacks when we get back. I know it. And I hate flashbacks. And that guy who can't pronounce words right. He's so fracking ridiculous. So, I'm going to show you my idea of what I'm going to do for the month that is going to be no One Piece. It's impossible to live without it. Okay, guys. So, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. 4 weeks without One Piece? I don't think so. And I can't stay asleep that long, even how many sleeping pills I take. So, you know what I'm going to do, guys? I'm going to cryogenically freeze myself. Frack yeah! It's going to be awesome. And, I don't really have the money for a proper one, but I think this will work. You see, this is my freezer, and I'm going to climb inside of it and just shut the door. And I will be frozen cryogenically for the full month, and I'll have someone wake me up when it's time, and they'll thaw me out. Probably have to come thaw out like a day or two before the chapter release. That way I can get it done. So, alright guys, I'll see y'all in 4 weeks. Oh boy, it's cold in here. I hope this works. I hope I don't have brain damage. I don't want to fracking come back as a Cylon or something. Oda, why do you take breaks and I have to suffer like this? So cold. Time for cryo. Hello everybody, and welcome to this One Piece Reviews for Chapter 597, entitled 3D with an X through it 2Y. Well, that did come back, didn't it? Well, this week's cover page may be the coolest cover page ever, and I thought last week's was pretty badass. But this week, what do we get? We get Whitebeard and Gold D. Roger cover page standing back to back with both of their pirate flags in it. What is it with these coats though? They wear the coats, but they never put their arms through them. I guess that's just it looks cooler that way. And I guess Whitebeard never wears a shirt. And see, Whitebeard's pretty huge, but Roger's kind of close to his size. At least it looks like in this perspective. I don't know, some people were talking about that. So, what do y'all think about the cover page? A word I don't like to use comes to mind, but I have to say it, guys. Epic. Yes, I know it's overused on the internet, but in this case, I think this is an epic cover page for One Piece. And this might also be an epic chapter, but let's see. So as a lot of people expected, it starts off with Zoro on MIHAWK's island, and Zoro is bowing down to MIHAWK, saying, "Teach me the sword."
And did anyone expect that? I really did not. I think some people said it was going to happen. I may have even said it was a crazy theory. But just because it didn't make any sense to me at the time. But as we go, we'll kind of figure out how it does make sense in the scheme of things. And even though I'm still iffy on liking it or not, I can see where Oda's going with it. And I'm not the only one to be shocked and astounded by this. MIHAWK is as well. He says, "Seems like I've misjudged you, Roronoa. You intend to request teachings from your enemy? Shame on you." So MIHAWK even is like, what the fuck? Why would you want your enemy who you want to defeat one day to teach you? That's pitiful. So this pisses MIHAWK out, and he tells him, "Just get the hell out of here. Apparently I've been overestimating you. What are you doing? It's painful to watch and nothing more." And then Zoro's like, "I want to become stronger," which is apparently the catchphrase for all of the Straw Hats right now, from Luffy to Zoro, Usopp, even Robin said it pretty much, and Brook. So that's the new theme for this chapter, the last few chapters, of course, is this: we've got to be stronger. As we all know, that's what they're going to do, so we'll see. So MIHAWK tells him he was beaten by the baboons and couldn't even get to the sea. He says, "I have nothing to teach men who come crawling back nonchalantly to me after such a defeat." But as Zoro's head is bowed like as low as it can go, aside from how Hancock might do it, look down on you, she's so much she's looking up. And he says, "Actually, I did defeat them. All that remains is your head." And when MIHAWK, the look on his face when he sees this, he's surprised. So he probably didn't think Zoro could beat the baboons, but he, in the back of his mind, maybe, but not that quickly. But he did do it, which is kind of funny because he was getting his ass kicked, but he is in a pretty bad state after all the things that's happened to him lately. So it's understandable, but I guess when he found out about Luffy and everything, it kind of upped him, you know, because in Shonen, once you know your friends are in danger, somehow you magically get stronger. Your strength can manifest when it comes to helping your friends. But MIHAWK's kind of shocked by this, and I think this kind of makes him think. And Zoro is humbling himself here because he's saying he's not stupid enough to think he could actually beat MIHAWK right now. And MIHAWK's confused by this, which I guess anyone would be in this situation. "I don't understand. You confirm me as your enemy, yet you bow your head to me and ask for teaching. For what purpose?" And Zoro's like, "To overcome you," with like an angry look on his face. And when MIHAWK hears this, he just starts laughing, which is hilarious because I really don't remember seeing MIHAWK laugh that much. He's a serious guy from most of the things we've seen. He may have laughed when him and Shanks were partying that time when he was going to go tell Shanks about Luffy going into the Grand Line and all that stuff at the very early on in the series. But I don't even think he laughed then. I think Shanks did. He just kind of drank his ale or his beer or whatever and was just kind of stoic the whole time. To see MIHAWK laugh is hilarious. And he says, "You're asking me to raise with my own hand a swordsman who's after my head? What a ludicrous bastard." So obviously this is kind of funny if you think about it. What person would teach the person who wants to take them their head how to do it? But here's where we get the character development, people. Yes, character development, which has been building up since Thriller Bark with Zoro, but is even more confirmation. Because I think him lowering his head to MIHAWK and asking MIHAWK his goal in the whole world to help him so that he can help Luffy and the others is even more so than him completely giving up on it and like being willing to sacrifice himself for Luffy. It's more shameful, if you will. Although I don't really feel it shameful, but in this kind of swordsmanship and honor and all that kind of thing, that this is shameful when it comes to that. But overall, it's not shameful because of what he's doing it for, if you understand. And MIHAWK's like, "Ridiculous, but you know this changes nothing about your disgraceful actions." Kind of what I'm saying. although Mihawk can see the reason behind it, he's still saying it's disgraceful in a swordsmanship kind of way. And he pretty much says, although it seems that you found something greater than your own ambition. So, I mean, this is what Zoro has found to be stronger for Luffy and the crew is more important than his ambition and his honor as a swordsman. Which, if you remember, like when Zoro and Luffy first met, Zoro told Luffy, if you ever make me give up my dream, my ambition, my goal, or dishonor me, I'll kill you. So, you can see how far Zoro's traveled from that. He's gone to the point where he's willing to just throw all that out for Luffy and the rest of them. And this is a funny little thing. He calls Perone. He says, hey, Ghost Girl, fix up his wounds. And she's like, don't give me orders. Your training will begin once your body is healed. And Zoro's got a little happy look on his face. And Mihawk says to himself, what an awkward guy. When a man like you is willing to throw away his pride, it is always for the sake of someone else. So, Mihawk realizes this. I think Mihawk is a little smarter, like, even in the head, than a lot of people will give him credit for. I mean, he can figure this stuff out and sees things. Like when he was at the war, he noticed how Luffy had that ability to attract people to him and stuff of that nature. So Mihawk knows a lot. Now, a lot of people are wondering, what's Mihawk going to teach him? Of course, he's probably going to teach him like stamina, strength, sword techniques. But a lot of people, well, I can talk about this in a little bit. What else is Mihawk going to teach him? Now, I guess we finally get the real explanation of what 3D crossed out 2Y means. As Perone is reading it in the newspaper, and wow, there really is a tattoo on Straw Hat's right arm. And we actually get like a closer up of it. And then Zoro explains to her, we promised to meet up in 3 days on Shibundi. So that's what the 3D means part. But the 3D's crossed out, and the place is 2Y. 2 years. Yes, a lot of people said that's what it was, and I personally wasn't a fan of that theory, but turns out all those people were right. So if that was your theory, take this time to gloat about it and to be like, I was right, I was right, I was so right. I seen a partial tattoo and I figured it out. I just didn't think, my main things, and a lot of people have this issue, is what was the chances that Luffy would be, that tattoo would actually get shown? You know, if he had it like tattooed on the front of his body or something, I understand how that'd be kind of vague, but still, what is the chances? Unless they somehow force somebody to take the picture where he got his arm in there. I mean, I don't know, maybe they developed it out where he would stand in a certain way and they couldn't miss it if they took a picture of him. So I don't know, but that's definitely, you know, that's my small thing in it that is kind of hard to believe. But you got to kind of throw some of your doubt out the window, because obviously that's what it meant, 3D, 2Y. And a lot of people are arguing about the Japanese and the English and stuff. Well, I don't know that much about the Japanese, but apparently, you know, they have romanization kind of letters that they can understand, so having a D and a Y makes sense. And it's kind of funny too, like it seems like Perona and Zoro are becoming like friendly-ish. Like, I ain't saying they're friends or nothing, but she isn't like trying to capture him and make him her, you know, servant anymore, and she seems to kind of be just like, whatever. I think she's just happy to be around some people, because I think she was lonely, and I think even if she has to kind of not get her way, that she can do this. And all this is really building up for her to be another crewmate. I didn't really like her idea, but this she kind of might develop. So we'll see. I just don't think so. But I don't know. It does strengthen it a little bit. You know, I hate to admit it, but we'll see. We'll see what Oda does with it down the road. And then Zoro pretty much just says, we have to stand still and get stronger and power up so we can move into the new world. We'll definitely regroup. Well, of course. I mean, obviously. And then we get like a double page with like all the Straw Hats saying 2 years, because they didn't want us to find out what it was yet. And, you know, they all kind of come to the realization. And you see Brook playing his guitar, and Robin's doing her little laughing, giggling kind of thing. And Chopper looks like he's studying up on some of those books. Frankie's working on something, although he still hadn't fixed his face. I guess Oda's going to go with this, but I imagine that Frankie's face will be fixed by the time the time skips over with. Usopp's running away and working, and Sanji's kind of like, serious face, so this kind of gets to show us all the Straw Hats one more time before we get a break of a month. I know, a month. Alright, now we get what happened with Luffy and stuff. We get more back on Luffy. And it says a few days earlier on the comm belt. So apparently this all happened kind of before. I'm guessing this is kind of like when they're heading back after he went to Marineford and stuff. And he's on the Kuja ship. And apparently Jinbei is leaving for now. He's on a whale shark. And of course Jinbei has to use his catchphrase again pretty much. And Luffy thanks him, and he says, "For what? I'm the one who should be thanking you. And Impel Down, I ask you to give me a place to die. And while I manage to shamefully survive, I believe I'll be able to keep helping you in the future. In any case, let us meet 2 years later at Fishman Island. I will be waiting in excitement for the day you and your crew arrive." And Luffy's like, "Bye." So Jinbei's leaving, and he's going to Fishman Island. So what's going to happen? Is he going to try to straighten out Fishman Island and kind of become the... because he's pretty powerful. And I think his name, protecting Fishman Island, maybe is not as great as Whitebeard's, but could yield some things. However, it could get messed up, because that's what I was always expecting. Is Fishman Island going to be a happy-go-lucky arc, where it's all like adventure and fun, or is there going to be some big battles to be fought? And I always thought there would be, and especially how they talked about how it was all in shambles before Whitebeard came and took over it. Maybe we'll also get the whole him talking to Luffy, and it will actually be good for him to meet Nami too, and talk about the whole Arlong thing and see how that works out. That will be an interesting dynamic. And as we all know, Fishman Island was hinted at way back in East Blue. Even Jinbei was hinted back. He was like one of the first Shichibukai mentioned by name. And the whole Arlong thing and stuff like that, and Water 7 and mentioning Fishman Island's the next stop, and they want to get there. So it's definitely going to be an arc. Just wonder what kind of arc's it going to be. And then we cut back to, there's an island in the Calm Belt, another one besides Amazon Lily, northwest of the Isle of Women, called Rusukaina. And I don't know if this is like a translation, What No One Home. I'm guessing is what that literally translates to, which actually makes sense once we get into the explanation. This island will work perfectly. It's home of the 48 seasons, a brutal island where the climate changes once a week. And Hancock's happy. She's like, "Every day I'll bring you some food from Amazon Lily." And Luffy's like, "Really, Hancock? Please bring your island's famous..." It says Gorgons, but I think that's a mistranslation. I think he means the Sea King meat, because they're the Gorgon sisters, so I don't know, but Luffy could be saying the wrong thing, because you know how Luffy is. One thing, Luffy does seem to be a little bit, like, not necessarily, I mean, like, he seems like he's become a little happier. You know, he isn't all gloomy. Like, a lot of people were worried about that. I knew Oda wouldn't be that stupid to turn Luffy into some emo moping around, like, you know. Yeah, maybe he got over it a little quickly, but for Luffy and how optimistic and stuff he is, this definitely was a change for him. So, but it seems like he's happy about it, and he wants to eat again, which is good to hear. And she's all like, "I'll bring you as much food as it is, or whatever." And she says, "And that was the 10th time you've called me by name just now. Does this mean we're engaged?" Like, a lot of people are pissed about this whole, Hancock comedy thing, but I just, it doesn't get old for me. It's hilarious. This grown woman who hates men is the most beautiful woman in the world, the pirate empress and all that. Over Luffy is just like a little schoolgirl and thinks that every time he says her name, that means they're going to get married. And Nyan says, "No, and why do you keep getting further away?" Because, and always, she's kind of like shy about it too. So she kind of runs and hides behind the tree. So it's kind of funny. I don't know, I just think it's hilarious. And then Rayleigh's like, Hancock, you can't be so easy on him. Women are forbidden from entering here during Luffy-kun's training. And boy, she is pissed. Her face is like, she's going to kill Rayleigh. Who gave you the right to decide that? And she grabs his nose. And he says, we got food here. We can catch stuff. If we couldn't do that, what kind of pirate would he be if he can't survive? Which is all stuff Luffy kind of learned. Like back in Garp's day, and what Garp was trying to show him, how to gather food, and him and Ace and Sabo and all that stuff. So it's just another version of his training, but a little more, obviously. And then Hancock's like, oh, for Luffy's sake, then I will bear it. But this island is dangerous if something were to happen. But he's pretty much saying, well, it's got to be, because I got to teach him some shit, you know? So if it was easy, then wouldn't be worth it. And he says, if you're worried, then pray for him. But I could definitely see Hancock like coming by and like trying to catch a glimpse of Luffy, you know, during all this training. Maybe not get on the island or nothing. Alright, then we cut to like a double page with like showing the island, and Rayleigh's kind of explaining it. He says, we're the only two humans here. Although there was supposedly some humans here a long time ago, and you kind of see like a ruins or something. But all its people died out in a battle for survival against cruel Mother Nature, who has filled this land amply with natural defenses. And Luffy, and this goes back to Luffy being more like his old self too. He's got a big smile on his face, and he says, smells like a big adventure to me. So Luffy's still there. And maybe this is Luffy's last adventure as a 17-year-old. Otis said it was Strong World, but maybe there's parallels in here, which I'll talk about later. Rayleigh says, this place is filled with a vast number of ferocious beasts, too many to count, including tons of creatures that you wouldn't be able to defeat the way you are now. Over 500 that are stronger than Luffy already. That's crazy if you think about it. If you don't, and he's pretty much saying, if you don't get stronger, you won't be able to sleep. And Luffy's like, how do you know whether or not they're here and how many there are? And then Rayleigh says it. Don't think it only belongs to other people. You too must learn to control this power. The power of Haki. Finally, we get like a straight up talking about this, because it's been so foreshadowed for so long. So foreshadowed, this word that's been argued and debated and all the forums about, we shouldn't call it this, we should call it that, this and that, what is it, does this, it doesn't do this, it does this. We will finally get a goddamn explanation from Oda himself through the form of Rayleigh. That's what's coming up now, so get ready. Okay, now things are going to get a little long-winded, because this is a very important thing that's going to happen now in One Piece. We're going to get the explanation of Haki, and I'm going to almost verbatim read what Rayleigh says and talk about it, okay? So get ready. Okay, a giant like elephant comes out, and Luffy's like, oh, there's a big thing behind you, Rayleigh. But Rayleigh's just kind of just standing there nonchalantly, and he says, listen carefully, Luffy-kun. Haki is a power that lies dormant in all the world's creatures. Presence, fighting spirit, and intimidation. It is no different from things that humans can naturally sense, such as these. Okay? So, apparently it lies in every creature. Okay? And it's presence, fighting spirit, and intimidation. Which I guess kind of just said the exact same thing. I didn't really explain much there, did I now? It's no different than things that humans can naturally sense, such as these. Okay? So, it's like another sense, I'm guessing, of like beyond, you know, your normal five senses. And then he goes on to say, but a majority of humans go without noticing this power, or perhaps finish their lives failing to ever pull it out, even if they try. And Luffy, I don't know if he's getting all this, but we're getting it at least, because he's like, there's an elephant, that thing's gigantic. And it is, it's a big fucking elephant. And then he says this, the act of not doubting, that is strength. So obviously Luffy has tons of strength, because up until after Ace died, he really never doubted that he'll become Pirate King and all that. And he says, and now he's going to give a demonstration. He says, watch closely. Haki can be split broadly into 2 categories. And he's going to tell, and Luffy's like, oh, chill, the elephant's going to get you. But Rayleigh already knows what's going on. He says, it's fine. The elephant will attack my head from the right. The ability to sense the opponent's presence even more strongly. This is Haki with the color of observation. If this ability is increased, enemies and locations invisible to the naked eye can be discerned. Their numbers and even what they will do in the next moment can all be gleamed. This color of observation is a way, it's kind of like an intuition, I'm guessing. You know, you kind of feel somebody's watching you or something. But with this, it's more of a, you really can tell there's people there or creatures, and that's how Rayleigh knew what's on the island. And he knew what the elephant was about to do. Although it's kind of strange. I don't know how it would come. I could see like a human fighting a human. Like they would be thinking, I'm going to punch you. But with an elephant, how do you discern what an elephant's going to do? So, I mean, that's kind of tricky. But, you know. So that's what that does. And then, now, we get a big thing that's been highly contested for years in the forums and stuff. And Luffy has kind of like flashbacks to when he was fighting the Boa sisters. And how one of them was predicting his movements and stuff, and his fight with Inaru when Inaru was predicting all of his moves. And Rayleigh, being as he's been to Skypiea before, knows that it's called Mantra there, and he says it comes out of his fucking mouth, and it was wrote by Oda. So this is confirmed. This isn't just speculation, and most likely everybody was right about it already, but it's not just speculation anymore. It is 100% confirmed. He says, on the Sky Island Skypiea, they call this Mantra. Or Mantra. Okay? So, woo, everybody. Woo. And this also probably means that well, no, we were ever told that. So we kind of already knew, because that doctor told Kobe that was Haki what he used, and it was pretty much like Mantra. So, but the only thing with this is the whole, like, why do some people develop it and everything? Like, because that little girl, Isa, had it pretty strongly. And, I don't know, maybe it just different. From the way I get it, we'll understand in a minute. Now we get the next color. Next comes the Haki with the color of armaments. And he said, and he kind of explains this, so it's kind of good. He says, for this, imagine yourself wearing an invisible suit of armor. Okay, so the elephant's going to attack him now. And then Rayleigh puts his hand up, and like it's like, it looks like he's shooting something out, but it's kind of just for effect, really. And he blocks the elephant completely. And Luffy's like, I know that, I've seen that before. Because when he was fighting Sentamaru, he was using that technique to block all of Luffy's punches and knock them back. As well as when he was fighting the other Boa sister, she was doing the same thing every time he tried to kick her. And then the elephant's down. And he says, a hardened suit of armor can of course also be used as a weapon. And he flicks Luffy on the nose. And he's like, that hurt even though I'm rubber. That's where this power really comes in handy, Rayleigh says. Besides its ability to attack the weak points of Devil's Fruit users, this color of armament's Haki also exists as the only way to oppose them. Even the flowing bodies of Logia users, which may feel invincible, can be captured as substantial bodies. And it's kind of strange because it shows in the background, it shows Aki Inu, which I guess is just, I don't know, just because, I don't know, it doesn't really say nothing. But then Luffy remembers that Rayleigh stopped Kizaru with his foot, and he's like, that's how you stop Kizaru. And then Luffy really gets his thing, and he's like, then I could even hit Smokey from the Marines and Aokiji, right? And so we finally really get a way to fight Logia, which we already kind of knew, but it's definitely confirmed that that is Haki that does that. And it says it makes their bodies substantial. So it doesn't seem like it negates their power. So a lot of people were wondering about, why did Blackbeard even bother getting the Darkness Fruit? Well, the Darkness Fruit seems to suck the power out of you, where you can't even use it. But with the Haki, it just means you can punch them. So I don't know what this means with him, like, fighting, like, Akainu, would that still burn him or what? I don't know. That's just going to have to be something we're going to have to figure out down the road. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment in your theory about it. Do you think that would mean he could stop them? The way I'm taking it just means that they're solid now and he could actually punch them. And then Rayleigh goes on to talk about, have you seen the Kuja bows and arrows? This power can also be imbued into weapons, which is left a lot of stuff in, this has left a lot of stuff up for future possibilities with even other characters, which I'll talk about in a little bit. And he's like, I thought those arrows were still at first, but they were just regular arrows because you've seen how powerful they were. And then Rayleigh's like, the color of observation and the color of armaments, these are the two types of Haki in this world. However, there's only an extremely small group of people who can use Haki like this. And Rayleigh does the thing where it like shoots out from your eye, kind of like at least the way Oda draws it. Nothing really shoots out from your eye, but you know what I'm saying for effect. And the giant fucking elephant just passes out. And Rayleigh is explaining this now. This is the ability to intimidate the opponent. Haki with the color of the Conqueror. Now, Conqueror, I don't know about, really. I think, like, this is the King's Haki. I like that better. Because, you know, he already said he don't want to conquer nothing. I think it's just like a, and some people said Tyrant and other stuff. I think Conqueror kind of works better, but King, I think makes the sense. That's probably what I'll call it, King's Haki. Whenever someone gains fame in this world, they are most likely hiding this power within themselves. This color of the Conqueror, however, cannot be trained and strengthened, even if you are able to control it. This power is measured by its user's spirit and nothing more. It can only be reinforced through personal growth, so that's what you use at the auction house. You've already experienced it yourself. Your disposition toward the color of the Conqueror has already been awakened. You must not use it until you can completely control it, otherwise it'll intimidate innocent people around you as well. Okay. So this really gives us some stuff about it, because now you know that we don't know exactly all what it can do. It seems like it can pass people out, but when Shanks was there, and he most likely has it, he was like tearing up part of Whitebeard's ship and knocking out people. And some people could, you can kind of control the level of it and how much you let loose, I think. And the more you need it and the bigger and stronger you grow as a person is how it grows with you. And it would also explain why maybe Whitebeard's wasn't as strong as it used to be, and maybe what Rayleigh said he can't use it again, just because he doesn't have that ambition in him anymore, that drive anymore. I mean, he's retired. Whitebeard was pretty set in his ways. But we already know Luffy has it in a very strong sense, as well as probably a lot of the other most famous pirates. It wouldn't surprise me if the other two Yonkou have it as well. It would make sense. It also would make sense if Garp and or Sengoku had it, and who knows, maybe some of the admirals. I don't know, because the way Rayleigh is saying it, it's hinting towards, you know, it's the power that really makes the difference. It's what separates mid or high from like super high tier people in One Piece universe. So there's that. And apparently you can kind of focus it, and that's what he needs to do. That way he doesn't shoot it out on someone who he doesn't mean to. So this is apparently something Luffy's going to have to learn how to adjust it to his thing. Kind of like when he tried to learn how to do his rubber bullet when he was trying to hit Ace, and he was like, and hit himself in the face and stuff back in that day. So he'll have to kind of make sure to target the right people or things with it. And then I guess Luffy was paying attention, because Luffy's kind of like amazing, and Rayleigh's like, what's wrong? He says, one of the Pirate King's crew members can defeat a monster like this without even touching him. And Rayleigh's like, gained a little respect for me, have you? And he's laughing. But I've seen this Haki in various places. I imagine so, but acquiring it is no small feat. Normally it would be too short a time period, but your disposition is strong. So somehow in 2 years I plan to beat the basics of the three colors into you. But most humans, due to their own skilled and unskilled tendencies, habitually gravitate towards the color they're most skilled with. Once you probe the three out, all that's left is to strengthen the color you're the best at. The more you strengthen the three kinds, the greater their possibilities will become. And Luffy says, I got it, which, does that mean he's got it or not? I don't know, because you know how Luffy is. But obviously, we're going to have a debate about this now. is which color is Luffy going to be the strongest at? Which one is he more predisposed for? Because the way Rayleigh's saying it, you might have a natural tendency for one over the other, and that one will probably become easier to you, but you can still use all of them. And I can see Luffy becoming pretty proficient at all of them, in my opinion, because he's got to be a top-tier guy. But what do you think is going to be the one that he is the most proficient at, the one that comes to him most naturally? I would guess it would be the Kings for me, because, you know, he kind of did those without thinking about it, where the other ones, he never really used those without thinking about them. So, in the comments below, you let me know which one do you think he'll have the most luck with in the future, or which one he'll become the strongest with. And also, Rayleigh says he's teaching him the basics. So now Luffy's got to go on his own and use them. It's kind of like what he had before, and he'll develop new things to do with them. It's not a complete, like, Luffy's going to go into the new world and have, like, hacks powers where he can do everything. No, he's going to be able to understand and use these things, but he's going to have to develop, as Rayleigh says, the possibilities. Like, there are possibilities you can do different things with them. Like, Rayleigh took that collar off of Kami. What kind of color was that and all that? You know, how did he put, like, a, you know, armor around it so it didn't blow her up? How did he remove it? Things like that. So, he's definitely got some room for improvement on this, and I'm sure Oda will come up with many creative ways to use it in the future. He pretty much just showed us the basic ways just to give us a little taste of it as we gone along. So, Rayleigh's saying, although in regards to training, I'm not going to go easy on you, Luffy. And Luffy's like, sounds good to me. And then Luffy says this. He takes off his straw hat, and he says, the pirate Straw Hat Luffy is going on holiday for a bit. And he says, you said this is the only safe place, right? And he puts his hat down and the Vivre card as well. And then Rayleigh says, hurry up, we're going to start. And then he says, thanks, Uncle Rayleigh. And one thing that a lot of people have noticed, which I thought I was going to post a blog about it, but it seems like this tree that he's sitting his hat down next to looks like a Daft Green tree from the movie Strong World. If you've seen Strong World, you know that. A lot of people commented about that, and it would make sense because that would mean all the animals there wouldn't go near that. A lot of people have also been speculating, is there going to be some IQ plants there, and maybe that's why these animals are so strong. I don't know, but it makes sense that he can have that. Maybe it's like a base and keep his hat there. Plus, it's kind of cool because a lot of people are talking about Luffy's going on vacation, and we know Oda's taking a month off to, you know, relax and everything before he gets settled back into doing One Piece some more. So it's kind of like a metaphor between both of them. And then you get like a little funny thing at the end. He said, no, wait, it should be, please teach me Rayleigh-san or Rayleigh-sensei. Oh, master. And then Luffy says, thanks, and please teach me, Rayleigh. And Rayleigh's like, well, whatever. And then you get the shot of the straw hat being set on the stump of the possibly Daft Green, and it's like a close-up image, and you actually get to see all the stuff it's gone through. And a lot of people were commenting that you can kind of see in the top part, like the marks where Buggy cut it back in the East Blue, and Nami repaired it and all that, and it's gone through a lot. But you know, when we don't see that, it's hard to tell how much it's went through. So it's kind of like a picture into Luffy. You know, what he's gone through is the same thing the hat's gone through, pretty much. And it's kind of a cool way to end it. And then it says, the reunion comes in 2 years. And of course we get the saddest news ever. One Piece is now going on a 4-week break. Time to cry now. Okay, now we're going to go and just do a little discussion about it. I know I kind of discuss it as I go along, but overall, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is an epic fucking chapter of One Piece. And of manga in general, in my opinion. A lot of people were disappointed with last week's chapter, but this week's chapter had a character development with Zoro, things that we did not expect, or at least a lot of us didn't expect. We have the explanation of Haki, and we know what the time skip's going to be, and that there will be a time skip. Of course, there could be a chance that Oda will come back and do a fucking 100 pages of training, but I doubt it. Most likely he'll have small little flashbacks like he did with Luffy and Ace and Sabo and all that kind of small little flashbacks of what they went through. And I mean with all the crew. And I think that's why Oda set it up where we kind of can figure it out on our own what they're going to do. That way he doesn't necessarily have to show it and waste 100 chapters doing that. and it actually makes sense. A lot of people have been bitching and whining about time skips because of Naruto, and they think Naruto's time skip fucked everything up. I don't know, I don't read Naruto, but I've had a lot of people tell me that it's not really the time skip that messed Naruto up. It was like Naruto was kind of going downhill already, and then other stuff like that. So that's that. Dragon Ball time skip was kind of, you know, but I didn't think it messed up the show or anything, so I don't think this will mess it up. And like a lot of people have been saying, you got to kind of have faith in Oda, and I'm going to have faith in Oda that he knows what the fuck he's doing. He's been doing it for 13 years and doing a great job, so he will continue to do that in the future with the whole next part of the Grand Line. A lot of people are talking about, what are they going to change the name? They don't change the name of the manga. They may change the anime. It's possible, but maybe not. Overall, this chapter, from Zoro bowing his head to MIHAWK to learning what Haki is, to, you know, just finding out that 3D2Y meant, oh wait, not 3 days, 2 years. That stuff was pretty fucking awesome. And I don't know what else to say about it. If there's something you think I missed in this chapter that I should have covered, let me know. I don't know how long this video's gotten already, but like I said, it was probably going to be long, so it's going to be a while to get edited and uploaded and all that, but I will have it up today. Well, today it doesn't matter. Today's today for you whenever you're watching it, so it doesn't matter. But this was badass, and now we're going to move into the future, and we're going to get to see what's coming next. Okay, now I read through a lot of the forums this week and stuff, but I really didn't see that many theories that are going to fit in the section, so it'll be real short this week. Most of the things were like, oh, I was right, or hey, everybody, you were right about the 3D2Y thing, or arguing about how crappy the future is going to be, or is Oda going to mess up things, or how sad they are that there's going to be a break, and how are they going to get through it. One suggestion on the forums I went through is some people have suggested this would be a good time to reread the entire manga from the beginning again. So that's not my idea, but feel free to take it and go with it, because I'm probably going to reread a lot of it, because in the future, with this month without One Piece, new chapters, I'm going to start doing like a retrospective, and I'll probably separate it up into like super sagas, if you will, like East Blue and Alabasta, and, you know, Skypiea and Water 7 and Islabi, that kind of thing, and probably throw in Thriller Bark, Shibundi, and the War all together. Because I don't really need to cover the War as much, because I already covered all that. And then maybe it'd be good to go back and see what we know now as compared to when we seen it at that time. So that might help people, because a lot of people be like, hopefully you can make videos to help me get through my missing of One Piece. So I will try to do that the best I can. Yeah, so that's the plans for the future of that. Plus I might do another, people have been asking me who my favorite Straw Hat is, and I might do that video and some other things like that, because people seem to like that kind of stuff. And that would be kind of quicker and easier videos for me to make. Yep. So that's what to look forward to in the future for me during this month, as I anticipate greatly the return of One Piece. Now on to crazy theories of the week. And off the top of my head, I can really only remember like 2 or 3. One of which I think is crazy is some people were speculating that Kobe will be an admiral by the time the 2-year time skip's over. And I do not see that happening at all. There's no way he would be admiral level in 2 years, because as we know, Luffy's not even going to be like Yonkou level or higher or nothing after that, because he's just going to get the basics. Because Rayleigh's already said how hard it is to learn to be great and proficient with Haki in just 2 years. So that's not going to happen. I could see Kobe being higher up and higher ranked. I don't even want to say Vice Admiral, because I don't think so, but that's a possibility. That's more likely than Admiral. Eventually, he might make it to Admiral, because that's what he wants, and that's like his dream. Another one is somebody posted a picture of Vasco Shot and a picture of Fat Usopp, and they said that Vasco Shot is Usopp's grandfather, which I think is mostly a joke, but they do look similar in that frame that somebody posted, and if I can find it again, I might post it up on my blog and write a little quick thing about it. Yep. And then another one is, like, I don't know if it was this week or before, but some people were speculating that there will be the Dragon Ball Z, Luffy shows up either married to Hancock or with a kid. And although this sounds kind of ludicrous, it would definitely be hilarious if Luffy shows up, like Hancock brings him to Shibundi, because I imagine that's how it'll happen. And they'll be like, who's this? And Sanji will turn to stone immediately, and he'll be like, this is my wife, Hancock. They'll be like, wife? And Luffy will be like, I don't know what it means, but that's what she said. And he doesn't understand it, and somebody has to explain it to him, and Nami hits him in the head. So that could be funny and interesting. Another thing is the whole 2-year time skip. A lot of the Straw Hats are with other people, and it's strange because they're going to end up being with them longer than they've been with the crew. Because since the beginning of this, people have tried to map it out as best they could. Oda's been a little vague on time and stuff. But from anywhere from 6 months to a year is the general accepted rule. And I would lean closer towards a year that they've been together as a crew. Although they've been separated for like a little bit of that time. But are they going to be closer with these other people? Or what's going to happen with that? I don't think so, because I think their bond is different. Because you know how sometimes certain bonds strengthen you no matter how long it is, like if it's a day, a week, a year, and no matter, you can't necessarily get those with someone else, even if you spent 10 years with them. Now, of course, the other Straw Hats are going to value the people they've been with, and they're going to have friendships and stuff like that. But to say that they'll be stronger than the Straw Hats, that's not going to happen, because look what they're going to do for Luffy, and I think that's going to be the whole thing. They're definitely going to be stronger for Luffy, and that's going to be the bond. You see what I'm saying? They wouldn't do that for these other people even after 2 years, I don't think. Don't get me wrong, I imagine some of them might be good friends. Maybe even Zoro and Piranha will be friends, or more than friends, what some people speculate. I guess that's a crazy theory too. Maybe he'll have little ghost Zoro babies that get lost when Piranha's. That's just a joke. But, yeah, so that's the chapter, and we won't get another one for 4 weeks. Yes, sad, I know. So, as to whore myself out per usual, will you please remember to rate the video, subscribe if you like One Piece, and you look forward to listening to me ramble about it during this 4-week break, and other mangas and animes that I will be reviewing during this time, as well as commenting your thoughts on this chapter or answering any of the comment questions that I pose to you. And favorite this video if for some reason this video was so fucking great that you want to do that. And also, feel free to, if you have pages or anything, you can embed my video or post it or links or whatever to your friends on Facebook if you know people are into One Piece and things like this. So, all that stuff helps me, and I appreciate it greatly. And another thing I need to mention, I mentioned in my last video, was my Bleach video, but this is my One Piece video, so I want to mention that I'll probably, I don't know if I'll put an annotation because it'll take a while, but I will definitely put a link down here to the person who made my new video banner, which is tiny, but not his fault, it's YouTube's fault, as well as my new channel banner, which is cool. And I changed my whole channel page and changed the color and kind of changed the look of it and stuff like that. And his name is, his screen name is XOrange7X, and there'll be a link to his channel, so go check him out. He makes little videos, but I don't know, just go say thanks or whatever you want to do. That'd be cool. You know, show him some appreciation. And anyone else who has art talent or willing to do stuff like that, let me know. I really appreciate it, stuff like that. And of course, I will mention and links and all that good junk for you. Yeah, and music or whatever you can do. That's cool. I like to kind of set up a whole page, like with like a background image and stuff. And I was gonna do it myself, but it might take me a little time because my Photoshop skills are mediocre at best. But something with, like, you know, One Piece characters and Fairy Tail and Bleach and stuff like that on the side where it doesn't take up from the, you know, kind of look at, there's some templates and stuff on the internet, or if it's something you do already or if you've done your own. There's a Naruto one, but I don't do Naruto, so I'm not going to use that. But there's no One Piece, or I couldn't even find a Bleach one, so, but anime or manga in general, whatever, that'd be cool. Yeah, so that's that. And y'all, don't forget to check out my links on my blog and stuff, and my movie reviews and all that stuff. Whore myself out as much as I can without standing on the street corner. Alright guys, thanks for listening to this long-ass video. I know I told you it was going to be long. I don't know how long it is in the end. I don't think it's going to be an hour, but it might be 45 minutes. And really guys, thank you so much for staying tuned, and hopefully you will continue to watch my other videos about One Piece and other mangas and animes while the break is on, and you don't just use me for my One Piece reviews. That's all I care about. It makes me mad. Alright guys, thanks a lot, and see you in a month.